Hey guys, it's Chris here from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to our Monday Marathon series. Although we've only got one box this week, so it might be more of a Monday sprint. But we go through what the charity shop left for me that's been donated over the week that is electrical, and I like to try and save it from going out to the transfer station where it would go if I didn't take it. Also, I like to try and buy something to flip. This week I spent $10 on a clock. I know I always seem to buy clocks, but I find they're easy to sell and I can usually fix them if I need it. This one is a fairly modern clock. I'll show you without too much reflection, hopefully. It's branded Cobb & Co, made in Australia, has Melbourne written on it. The movement is actually just a cheap quartz movement, but it is made in the USA, so it's probably a little bit better quality than some of the real cheap and nasty ones that come out of China. It's a nice looking clock. It's real timber, and it's got a hook as well as a picture frame or a picture wire to hang on the wall. And it is a very attractive clock. I think we could get pretty good dollars for that. I paid 10. I aim to try and triple, so I think we'll put 30, maybe 35 on it, assuming it works when we put a battery in there. If it doesn't, we will fix it. So that's all I bought this week. As far as the e-waste goes, well, we only have one tub, so let's pull it apart now and have a look. This is a toaster, although it's a dual toaster. It's a Cambrook. It's got, oh, one of the trays just fell out. It's got dials on it. It's got individual settings. It's actually more like a bread cooking facility rather than a toaster. It's quite grubby, but it might be worth cleaning up because I don't think this would have been a cheap one. So we'll test it. If it works fine, we might try and clean it up a bit. We should get something for it, better than throwing it out. There's not much scrap in a toaster. You'd really only chop the cord off, and the rest of it, even though it looks stainless steel, it's probably magnetic, so it's not going to be worth much. We have a light here. It's a fixture light. It's a, I guess it's called a sconce light. Mounts on the wall. Looks brass. Let's check it. It's not brass. No, it's just brass plated. It is a glass shade though. It's quite a nice looking light. It would need to be wired in by an electrician, but I think we should be able to sell that. I may only put $5 on it. At least I don't have to kind of test it. It's not physically damaged, so it would be fitted by an electrician and they would make sure it's safe as far as the wiring goes. So that'll be easy, really. We'll just try and get $5 for it. Don't have to do a thing there. We have a coffee machine, and what's this, a hair curler? I think I get a lot of hair appliances. Looks pretty good. So it's just got your heating element. I think you're supposed to wrap your hair around and it creates curls. Mine's always been short. I'm not a curly haired person, and if I was, it would be natural. I wouldn't do this. So it looks okay. That just needs a test. It's clean enough. The cord looks undamaged. So that could be hopefully a quick one for, we might try 10 the first week, and if we don't get it, we'll drop to 5. What brand is it? Luna hair curler. So yeah, don't think it's a particularly valuable brand, but we'll see how we go. Now there is a coffee pod machine here. Very difficult to sell. I guess they're pretty cheap to buy new, and not too many people are interested secondhand. It's covered in breadcrumbs thanks to that toaster drawer tray coming out. What do we got here? I think we've got some little ear pods there. So that's the water canister at the back. I don't want to go to the trouble of testing these things. It looks to be all here. Does that go? Oh, that way. So I guess we can power it up and see if it actually lights up and appears to operate. We can probably just put $5 on it. Someone will grab it, test it, and you know, hopefully they get a good machine for $5. I don't want to go to too much trouble, but I have had problems trying to sell those things. That's probably another part of it, and maybe that is too. I'll have to check that out. So there's not much left. We do have another hair appliance. It's just a little dryer. Gold Sun. Oh, not an Australian plug, and I don't have any adapters, so I think we'll be hard pressed to sell that. We might, no, I can't even test it. Well, I have got an adapter inside I can go and grab, so I guess we'll test it. We'll try and get $5, but someone's going to have their own adapter. Looks okay otherwise, clean enough. There's an Ethernet cable here. I get so many of these. I've got some at the shop for sale at just $1 each. I'll probably just chop the plugs off and they can go into their data cable. A little bit more of our coffee machine. A little power supply. It's probably just a 5-volt one, is it? 9 volts. Okay, well, I'll hang on to that one here. I've got a few of these at the shop. I do sell them when people are after them. I've talked about chargers before. I usually get $5 for them, but when I get so many of the one sort, I just basically chop the wires off. I presume that goes with the hair cooler. Not sure. We have our little earbuds here. I usually just chop these up too for the data cable. Very few people want to put secondhand ear things in their ear and they look a bit grotty, so we'll probably just salvage the wire from that one. And a little double-ended audio cable, so I get plenty of that sort of stuff too. So we'll just chop the wires off that one. That's the end of our box. So really not much value this week, not much work to do, which is good for me. And we'll get some return. We'll be able to save some of it from e-waste, and hopefully our clock works. We'll check that shortly. So I just put a battery in the clock. I've set it to the right time and it's working beautifully. It's ticking away nicely. I reckon we'll go for $30 on that in the shop. Should sell quite well, I think. So let's move on to testing things. We'll try and power up this toaster. And I've put the crumb tray back in. It has another one. It has a crumb tray under each side. So there's no twin overhead foxtails. There's twin under heater crumb trays. Sounds cool. Let's power it up. Now we need an earth lead on this. It's very dirty though. Well, it passes, so it's safe as far as the earth goes. Does it operate? We have a light on. We have a little bit of smoke because I've disturbed the crumbs, so I guess some are probably sitting on the element. So that seems to work okay. I'll make sure all the elements are going, but I think it will be. Do we have a cancel here? I think that's cancel. And we have individual dials, so if someone likes their toast more well done than someone else, you can have your own side. Very complicated, isn't it, just for a toaster? Let's try this one. Whoa, okay, we blew the trip switch on the fuse box the moment I pushed that down. So it must have some sort of short there. That's not going to be safe to sell, and that's why it's good to have circuit breakers on your power board. What will I do? I might try that again. But yeah, it certainly blew the circuit breaker. Okay, I've flicked the circuit breaker back on. I'm going to turn the ring light off. Not that it uses very much power. And there's nothing else coming off this circuit in the shed. There's no heaters running or anything like that that would have caused the circuit breaker to overload. And as we saw, one side worked fine. So this one must have some sort of direct short. I'll try it again just to see what happens. Yep, it's blown the circuit breaker again. So there's a definite short in there. We might pull it apart and see what's going on. I don't think it's really worth fixing, but it might be an easy fix. And probably it will be easier to clean up if I pull it apart. So yeah, well, I think we'll do that. We'll have a look and see what's going on. We'll get to the toaster later. Let's have a look at this coffee pod machine. It's quite worn on the buttons and it's quite dirty. I really don't think it's worth the effort to clean up, you know. What brand was it? KFE. I think I've had one of these before. And just looking at the side of it, it's all melted. Something hot has melted all the plastic housing. Not sure if you can make it out because it's textured, but that's quite badly damaged. You can see it in that light. So I can't possibly sell something that's had that sort of damage. So that makes it easy. We won't test it. I'll just chop the cord off. I worked out where all those other bits go, but I didn't spend too much time on it. We'll see if that's non-magnetic stainless steel. No, it's not. So there is some, this is probably a die cast under here, a chromed die cast, but I'm not going to pull it apart for that. I don't think there's really much in these as far as scrap goes. So I'm just going to chop the cord off. We'll salvage what we can, and the rest of it can go to e-waste. I'm not going to muck around trying to fix something that's got that sort of damage on it. So 2 other things to test. I'll have to go and get an adapter to test a hairdryer. But the hair curler we can test, so I'll plug that one in. We don't have anywhere to check for an earth, but the appliance tester seems to like it. Let's power it up. We have different temperature settings. How do we go to the next one? Or does it automatically heat up? Oh, there's an up and down button. Yep, there we go. So that responds well. I guess it's yes, it's getting warm. No issues there. That looks to be in good condition. I guess a long hold turns it off. Yep. Fantastic. All right. So it wasn't a well-known brand. It just says Luna. But I think we'll try $10 on that because the hair appliances do seem to sell okay. Little stand. And that will clean up pretty well as new. So tested. We'll try and get 10 for that. Okay. I've got a little adapter now to check this hairdryer. It's only a tiny one and it's very light. Gold Sun, I can't say I've heard of it. But let's plug it in, see if it works. Oops, it's on straight away. Yep, that heats up nicely. So we just have a high, a medium and a high, or a low and a high. Gets quite hot. Nothing blocking the filter there, so that's all right. Really just a cheapie. Fine, I guess, if you're on holidays or something, and if you left something like this in a motel room, you wouldn't even worry about ringing them. So we'll see if we get $5 for it. It tests out safe on the appliance tester, but someone will have to grab themselves an adapter. A lot of people have them lying around the house anyway these days. So $5 for the hairdryer, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So I've just cleaned up the wiring. That stuff's going to go in my data cable bin, which is a little less value than I get for the heavier duty wire. So we've got some value back there. Incidentally, the little ear pod things, where the plug went on, it was broken. So nearly broken right through. It seems like everything I get that was destined, is donated to the charity shop. Seems like everything I get is not really saleable. It's either broken or filthy dirty, or in this case, downright dangerous. So who does that? Because you must know that your toaster throws the circuit breaker. You probably upgrade for that very reason. And then you give it to a charity shop. Anyway, let's pull it apart and see if we can find out what's going wrong with it. Okay, is this an autopsy or is this a repair? I guess I'll take it apart with the idea that we may be putting it back together. But it could well end up a situation of e-waste, and we'll salvage any bits we can get out of it. Just depends what we find wrong. But it certainly is quite dirty, so it needs a good clean. I guess I should have taken the crumb trays out while they were up the right way. But I think all the crumbs have already fallen in amongst the machine. Right, so we have Phillips head screws right round. I'm guessing one might be a security screw. We'll see how we go. Yes, that one is. And we have a couple of security screws over here. Yeah, that one is. I should have looked up how much these toasters were to buy, because it's probably not, it's almost certainly not viable to fix it, but that's never stopped me before. Alright, have to get a couple of security bits and we'll get those ones out. Well, after a bit of fiddling around, I've managed to get these security screws loose with the old jeweler's screwdriver trick. If you find one the right size, you can usually tap it in and get it to work. But it's not good for your screwdrivers, and it's not the best way. I did have this little king chrome set, but they just don't reach far enough because these screws are recessed in the hole. I'll have to get some longer ones, especially for these jobs. All right, I think we've got 4 security screws out on the corner. Actually, more than that. We've got the side ones as well. So I think we've got them all out. There are a couple of others here, but I don't know that they have to come out. So will the unit separate? There we go. Now we're probably going to have to take these off. Do they screw on or do they press on? I think they just press on. There we go. You've got to flex them apart a bit. Bigger screwdriver required. Okay, wow, they were held on tight. Okay, let's remove the whole casing. And it's essentially two toasters in one. There's two separate control boards. It's basically two complete toasters just put in one case. So one of them's okay. That was the left side. The right side had some sort of shorting issue. Nothing looks to be burnt or anything on the board. Alright, I'll have a bit of an investigate. I'll clean it up a bit and we'll see if we can find out exactly what happened to it and why it's blowing the circuit breaker. So I've unplugged the casing to have a good look at it. I've cleaned a few crumbs out. I've had a bit of a look over it and I can't see anything wrong. So I've powered it back up how it is now with none of the controls connected. And I've put the plastic thingos back on here so I'm not touching the metal. And this one is working. It was working before. And you can see a little spark on the contacts. It's not actually, it's heating, but I have to hold it down because there's no electronics connected to it. And it's not blowing the circuit breaker. I tried this one expecting the circuit breaker to blow, and it didn't. It's actually doing the same thing. It's connecting the elements and they're heating up and there's no issues. And I can hear it sort of humming a little bit, so that's working fine. I then quickly tried plugging those into the control board thinking there might have been a problem in the board. And if there was, I was going to actually swap the boards to see if it still did it to prove that it was an issue in the board. But I plugged that one in and that one worked fine. So I can only assume that all the electronics are okay. And dismantling it must have moved something that was shorting. So I'm guessing it was probably an element wire that was touching the frame inside. I'm still not touching it. I better turn it off, even though these weren't activated. So I'm going to have a good look over the heating elements. We'll clean it out, but I know that it actually does work. There's no parts that are actually shorted out or blown. I think it was just an element wire contacting the steel casing. So that's where we're up to at the moment. I'm going to clean it out a bit more. I think it's probably worth putting back together. I haven't polished the case or anything. I'll do that obviously if we're comfortable getting it back to working condition and selling it. I must look up to see what these things are worth. I would imagine they were probably a $50 toaster or thereabouts. Yeah, I'm not going to go to too much trouble, but I'm going to clean it and check all the elements to make sure it's not going to short out again. I've just noticed something down inside this one. Now don't worry, it is unplugged. You're certainly not supposed to normally put metal things into toasters. And we have a wire. Oh, that's not a wire. There's our problem. Does anyone know what that is? It's a tie from a bread bag. It is dropped down into the toaster. And as you can see, that end has been super, super hot. And that's what shorted it out. So look at that. So there we go. Someone's accidentally dropped a bread tie into the toaster and it is shorted out and it's blown people's circuit breakers and they never knew it was in there. There's a lot of crumbs still in there, but that's why it was drawing super amounts of current and blowing the household circuit breaker. And then in their wisdom, they donated it to the charity shop. I won't go on about that. It just astounds me that people do that though. All right, so I know now it's okay. That was definitely what was causing a short, and by me dismantling it must have just dislodged one end. Or perhaps the last time I plugged it in, it actually fused the wire enough to disconnect it. So I'm going to clean it out now and we'll put it back together and we'll work out what price to put on it. I might be able to get $20 for it if it cleans up okay, but even just 10, at least we know it works now, and it'll be nice to keep it in circulation, hopefully somewhat cleaner than what it is now. I'm just about to hit this with the air compressor, just blow the nozzle some air down through here. I have used a small paintbrush just to reach down between the elements there, just this one here, and loosened up all the crumbs. As you can see, there's plenty over the base, and as I said at the start, they're essentially just two toasters stuck side by side, so they've cleaned up pretty well. There's certainly no other issues with it. There was a heap of spacers to go under it, lots of screws. They're certainly not designed to be serviced, but you know, I've never been one to follow the rules. Let's give it a clean up with the air compressor and then we can reassemble. And there she is, all back together, giving it a bit of a test at the moment. All the elements work. I gave the top a bit of a polish. It's much better than it was. Still does have some scratches, but you can see down in there it's much cleaner. Presents pretty well. It's still clearly a second-hand toaster, but it presents very well. It should be quite saleable. Actually cleaned up quite well. So I've given it a good test. It all works fine. And I haven't made toast in it, but I'm sure it will be perfect. So there we go, back together. Not really worth the time involved, but I'm pleased I got it done. So here's this week's score on the deck. The toaster cleaned up really well, as you can see. Everything else presents very nicely. The clock even looks magnificent. It's not going anymore. I took the battery back out because I only had one battery here, but it does run fine. The only items we've got for e-waste this week is this coffee capsule thingo pod, coffee pod machine they call it, and a few plugs from the wire. And we get a bit of value back on the wire there, some data cable and some normal wire. So we saved a lot this week. We've got something good to flip. So that's not bad at all, and didn't take me too long to process it. Well, actually, it took longer than I thought because I didn't realise I was going to do a toaster repair. So that's a bonus for this week. Let's go and have a look at the notepad. So with that small amount of stuff, we ended up with a potential $45 back and maybe $35 for the clock. I thought I could even go higher. I'm sure it would have retailed for much more than that. But $35 is a good price. I'm happy to just triple. And I went $25 on the toaster. I did look them up. Couldn't find one on its own for sale. I think they're a discontinued model, but I did find one advertised with a matching kettle for like $200 and something. So they must have had a pretty high retail price. I'd be happy to get $25 for it, and the other things as discussed. So potentially $80 odd back there. I've skipped over part 24 because none of it's got into the shop yet. As you know, or most of you know who follow my channel, I was away on the weekend at a big table tennis tournament, so the stuff's still in a box. You can't sell it when it's in a box. The week before, though, we've sold the Janome sewing machine. We've sold the Nintendo parts on eBay, plus the Nintendo box actually sold for $71 at auction. I'm estimating I'm going to get about $60 back. I will mention those a bit more in a upcoming eBay video very soon. So that was even, I had put that in the recycle bin. So there's a total bonus. I've also sold the electric clippers, the clock radio, the alarm system went on the weekend. We had a lady run the shop for us over the weekend, so I've managed to catch up on some of the paperwork. So we've done very well out of that. And the week before, part 22, again, some more of this went on the weekend just gone. So I think there's only a couple of, 3 things left. And the 2 Bendigo bottles, they're in a cabinet inside, so they can stay there as long as they need to. But we're not far off ruling off this week. And all previous weeks have already been ruled off, so there's nothing lingering. And like I keep saying to you guys, I don't want this stuff hanging around. I really want to rehome it rather than it being thrown out. So I have this really strict full price for a couple of weeks, half price for a week or two, free the week after, and very few things actually make it to the free stage, which is great because I'm getting a bit of a return, and we're not throwing, well, we're hardly throwing anything into the waste stream. So that's very successful. I'm very happy. It's quite satisfying, and I'm making a few dollars, and thanks to YouTube, I'm making a few extra dollars to cover some of my time, which is fantastic. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.